This is the mini lesson on blood basics. So the components that make up our blood, you have the red blood cells called the erythrocytes. This is the most abundant cell that's in your blood. They're produced in the bone marrow, and they're the ones that have the protein hemoglobin, and it's responsible for carrying oxygen to our cells. So the oxygen we breathe in is then absorbed by the hemoglobin, and the hemoglobin will carry it throughout your body. White blood cells, known as leukocytes, they're part of the immune system, and they're responsible for destroying infectious agents that we call pathogens. Plasma, this is going to be like if you've ever seen like the yellowest liquid that comes out of a newly kind of like open cut, and it's kind of sticky. That's your plasma. It's the portion of the blood that contains the electrolytes, the nutrients and vitamins, hormones, and it has some clotting factors and proteins and antibodies that help fight infection. Platelets, known as thrombocytes, these are clotting factors that are carried in the plasma, and they will clot together in a process that's called coagulation to seal a wound and prevent further loss of blood. So, some facts about blood. Average adult will have about 5 liters of blood inside their body. So, it is approximately 7 to 8% of their total body weight. Blood is not a liquid. It's a living tissue, just like your skin, your organs, your eyes. It's a living tissue that carries oxygen and nutrients to all parts of the body. So you can kind of think of it like the kind of plumbing of your body that keeps everything alive. It also carries the carbon dioxide and other waste products back to the lungs, kidneys, and liver for disposal, and it helps us fight against infection and heal wounds so that we can stay healthy. There are about 1 billion red blood cells in 2 to 3 drops of blood. So for every 600 red blood cells, there's only going to be about 40 platelets and 1 white blood cell. So genetics of blood types. Your blood type is established before you're born by the genes that you inherit from your mother and your father. You inherit one gene from your mother, you'll inherit the other gene from your father, and these will determine your blood type by causing a protein called agglutinogens to exist on the surface of your red blood cells. So there are 3 alleles or genes for blood type, A, B, and O. And since we have 2 genes, there are 6 possible combinations. If you have AA or AO, you'll be a type A blood. So 2 combinations result in type A. BB or BO will give you a type B blood. 2 O's will make you type O, and AB will make you type AB. So you can see these proteins on the surface, the A's, the B's, the A's and the B's, and type O is the lack of having those proteins. And you can also see them in your antibodies. So that's going to be why with transfusions, you have to get a certain type of blood because you got to have the right type of antibodies. So, how common is your blood type? So, people with type O, so about 1 in 3 people are O positive, and 1 in 15 people are O negative. So, type O makes up about 46.1% of the population. A positive is 1 in 3 people, and A negative is 1 in 16, and that makes up 38.8% of the population. B positive, about 1 in 12 people are B positive, and 1 in 67 people are B negative. So a lot more rare. It's only about 11.1% of the population. And then the most rare, AB positive, is 1 in 29 people. AB negative is 1 in 167. So people with type AB make up 3.9% of the population. This part is not in your notes, but just for sake of anyway, so blood transfusion is whenever it's a procedure where blood will be given to someone through an IV. And it's because someone's lost too much blood either during surgery or a serious injury. And this transfusion can also help people who are not able to produce blood properly because of some illness. So, when you give blood, it's important to know what your type is. People with type O blood are called universal donors because they can give blood to any blood type because they don't have those antibodies. People with type AB blood are called universal recipients because they can receive blood of any type. So, you see this little kind of universal donor, type O, universal recipient, AB. Type A would need either an O or a type A, and B would either need an O or a type B. So, RH factors. Scientists study the rhesus monkeys to learn more about the human anatomy because there are similarities between the two species. And when studying the rhesus monkeys, a certain blood protein was discovered. And this is also present in the blood of people, some people, but some people don't have it. So the presence of a protein or lack of it is referred to as the RH or rhesus factor. So if your blood contains the protein, then your blood is said to be RH positive. And if your blood does not contain the protein, your blood is said to be RH negative. When we're dealing with blood evidence, you'll see three different types. So, blood samples is something you can take from a suspect or a victim, and it can be analyzed to determine blood type, and it also contains DNA. So, you can use it to match up possible suspects. Blood droplets can be analyzed to give clues about the location of a crime, movement of the victim. Maybe they were injured and then moved in a certain direction. There would be blood droplets. It could also give an indication of the type of weapon that created the wound. And then blood spatter can be analyzed to determine patterns. And this will help give clues to the crime of what might have happened, how the suspect and the victim were positioned towards each other, direction of different movements and stuff will contribute to blood spatter. So these is the blood basic notes. Make sure you've completed them and glue them in your notebook. Just some microscopic views of blood. So human blood is here, and then you can actually distinguish from different species based on their different blood types. Will look very different under a microscope. All right, so go ahead, complete the note, show it to me, and I'll give you a stamp.